For most of my life, I felt something was a little off. Not wrong exactly, just a little heavy. Like I was trying really hard to fit into a life that wasn't for me. It took years to realize that this wasn't a personal failure of mine. It was conditioning. And once I saw where it came from, everything started to make sense. And the first place I had to look were the beliefs I absorbed before I even knew I was learning. When you were born, you weren't broken and you weren't a failure and you didn't have insecurities. You weren't asking whether you were enough or measuring yourself against anything. And you certainly weren't split between who you are and who you thought you should be or who other people thought you should be. You were present, fully here in the moment, responding to life directly through experiences, not through the filters of language and insecurities, internal resistance, and external impressions. At the time you were born, you didn't know who you were supposed to be yet. There was no image to live up to, no standard to maintain, any experience to match yours to. And then slowly, the people closest to you started showing you the world, not intentionally and not maliciously, just by being who they were, being your parents, being your siblings, being your religious figures. And you adopted those as well through the words that they used and the disciplines that they dished out and the praises that they gave you. And through repetition, this became ingrained in you. You observed how they reacted to stress, how they handled fear, and how they spoke about money, success, safety, and love. And they showed you those things through the experiences and the examples that they had with their loved ones, with the relationship they had with the people around them, with work, and with the relationship with God. Now, when we did things as a child in our youth, as toddler years, we were either rewarded or disciplined or completely ignored. And through that repetition, this process through discipline, praise, and repetition was rewarded, ignored, or punished. We didn't just learn rules, but we absorbed beliefs of what was right and what was wrong. Beliefs about safety, what's dangerous, what isn't, beliefs about success, beliefs about love, when it's given, when it's withheld, when I should love somebody, how I should love somebody, and then beliefs about what's allowed and what's not allowed, acceptable behaviors. Now, this isn't about judging your family or judging my family. It's just not about judgment at all. Let's just wipe that off the table, because I can get to a position where I want to judge things as good or bad, and that's not what we're doing here. So whether you love your family, resent them, or admire them doesn't have any relevance here. None of us chose our first teachers. I didn't choose who the family I was born into, and I didn't choose where I went to school. I didn't set that path growing up. It was chosen for me. But the way we see the world today was built on how we experience those relationships with our family members and the people closest to us. What felt good got reinforced, and what felt dangerous got avoided, and then what felt shameful got buried. In my experience with my family, that's how it happened. And talking to a lot of people, this is an experience that I know that a lot of people have with their families as well. Reinforcement, avoidance, and burying. And here's something that took me years to accept. A lot of fear isn't created in us, it's inherited through those relationships with those people. Fears that were never questioned, trauma that was never healed, desires that were never spoken out loud, they got passed down quietly in tone, in silence, and what was never discussed. Those were passed down. And religion was a big part of that for me. I grew up in the church and I was in and out of foster care, and the foster families that I lived with, plus my home life and my grandmother, all had different churches that I went to. And taking communion felt a little off. Being an altar boy felt like a glorified candle lighter, and I was involved, learned the books of the Bible, etc. But the point I'm trying to make is different churches have different denominations, and I was exposed to those different denominations and different versions of how to believe. But the same underlying message was conveyed to me as a kid. I had to believe a certain way or else, which made it more powerful. There was a lot of open holes, but the or else was, you're gonna go to hell for eternity. And this created fear that didn't just disappear over time as I got older. When I turned 25, I started to experience different versions of God, different spiritual teachings, Eastern versus Western philosophy. And early in those years, I struggled a lot with it, because every time I started diving into that and wanted to explore a different version of spirit, I felt fear. Fear from the religious teachings that I grew up with, the burning in hell. And I'm not saying that church is like that or anything. I'm just saying my experience, how I felt, was fear-based. I had fear for my soul, fear of being wrong, or fear of stepping outside of the lines of what was acceptable or not acceptable. And eventually I had to ask myself something honest. The question was, if a belief system holds me through fear, how much love and depth can I really have with that belief system? If it is fear-driven, how much room is there for love to flourish? That fear didn't come from nowhere. It was passed to me from my parents, from my mom, from my foster parents, from environments shaped by their own survival. Your story might look different from mine. I don't want you to necessarily look at the differences, but the similarities. Humankind has been exposed to a fear-driven path that started from when we were born, passed down from our parents, and the generational trauma that was never healed from our parents or our upbringing has been passed down to us. And early in my son's life, I passed that down to him as well, and we've been working tirelessly to recant that and take that back. So your story might look different, but the fundamentals are possibly the same. So ask yourself honestly. Don't be so quick to assume fear doesn't play a role in yours too. Fear is often the very first layer of conditioning that we receive. Most of us never question these early beliefs because they feel personal, they feel like us. But once fear and belief are installed at home, they don't just sit there. They get reinforced systematically. And the first place that reinforces that fear is the school system.